Let's unpack Meta's new hate speech guidelines and why they should raise some big red flags for queer and trans folks on the internet. Meta overlord Mark Zuckerberg released new guidelines this week for Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, outlining what users can and cannot say on the platforms. And they also include a huge shift in how LGBTQ2S+ users can be treated, which seems bad. Quote, we do allow allegations of mental illness or abnormality when based on gender or sexual orientation, given political and religious discourse about transgenderism and homosexuality and common non-serious usage of words like weird. Let that sink in. It's been over 50 years since homosexuality was listed as a mental illness in the DSM. Like, we are so beyond the idea that being queer or trans is a mental illness or, quote, abnormal. And another deeply concerning aspect of this policy is the presence of that word, transgenderism. Not transgender, transgenderism. This word has been an anti-trans calling card for years and a way to strip trans people of our humanity. It suggests being trans is somehow ideological or something that happens to people, rather than something that people just are. As Julia Serrano wrote back in 2015, the word has actually been around and embraced in trans communities for decades to describe, quote, the phenomenon of transgender people or the state of being transgender. But in the past 10 years or so, it's been co-opted by right-wing anti-trans voices, and we've seen it in political speeches and attack ads and anti-trans writing, all working to alienate trans people from the rest of society. In suggesting that they want social media to be an open space for, quote, discourse about transgenderism, Zuckerberg and Meta are just replicating and boosting anti-LGBTQ2S+ ideas. Because let's be clear, gayness stemming from mental illness or trans people existing is not a new thing that's freshly up for debate in science or society or anything. The thing that is new, that's prompted this big shift in social media policy? Incoming President Donald Trump. The new guidelines came right after Meta announced that they were dropping fact-checking and adding UFC boss and current Trump supporter Dana White to their board as part of a grand shift towards so-called free speech and an obvious desire to be more like Elon Musk's zombified Twitter, X. Both Musk and Zuckerberg are part of a billionaire tech class that has openly decided to capitulate to the incoming president. Meta is among several tech companies and executives that donated $1 billion to Trump's inaugural fund within the last several weeks. And this is all a far cry from only a few years ago when Zuckerberg and Meta literally banned the soon-to-be president from Facebook in the wake of the January 6th riots. This is all a reminder that none of these platforms are our friends. They're mostly run by rich dudes with explicitly political agendas, political friends, and deep profit motivations. Let's not forget that this guy, Dustin Carmack, was hired back in August. This guy is a former advisor to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' doomed presidential campaign and was one of the key architects of Project 2025, a political game plan that aims to, among other things, effectively ban trans people from public life. Everything is political. A policy like this is going to lead to more harassment of LGBTQ2S+ folks online and even less safe social media spaces for us to exist in. And that should worry everyone.